Hello, VIPs. It is so wonderful to transition from abundance and our month of manifestation and our month of bringing in the thoughts, energies, frequencies, love, confidence, money, all of the things that come with abundant thinking. And as we transition and build upon, like each month, I see this as a building block of your success, and not just your success in terms of like climbing the corporate ladder or a success in, reaching that highest peak, your success in personal happiness. Right? That's why we're here. We're here not only to learn and to go beyond the ego, stepping into our authenticity, but we're also here to learn from one another using the Facebook group. We're also here to learn from one another in terms of what we're feeling, and maybe a lot of us are feeling down at the same time, so we can lift each other up, or we have a peak and we want to share it in the Facebook group. That's the idea here. The Beyond Ego VIP experience is for you to use to do the work. So these building blocks and this portal is here for you to build upon, not to say, okay, January's gone and the abundance was there. Did I focus? Did I do it? Maybe not. I can go back to it. That's why the portal is there for you. Or I can also take it as a building block to say, and I'm going to rewatch a few of those videos. I'm going to do the manifestation again and the meditation. But now I'm going to take that abundance and go into this month, which is February, and we're focusing on energy. Energy is such a beautiful topic. I picked this theme specifically because I am finishing up my latest book called Lead by Example, and the subhead is The Circumstances of Your Life Do Not Define You, Your Behavior Does. And a lot of that work, a lot of the chapters are based upon energy, and I saw myself rise throughout the year in 2020 after being struck in the head by a speedboat, and knowing every single day that I might be in a wheelchair, I could be in a wheelchair, I could not have a face. I mean, one slight movement of my head or where it went into the bone and into my brain, I couldn't be here, but I am. So it's miraculous to know that how I rose again was based upon my own spirituality and the energy that I have on the inside. So everything might have been broken. I was drawn. I walk by neighbors where I live, and I talked to a friend the other day, and she was like, well, you look really good. And my neighbor said, well, you look better. And I think to myself, did I really look bad for a while? Maybe I did. I do know that in half of the year, I thought I was there, but I really wasn't. I knew I wasn't there for the first couple of months. But even over in the fall, I realized that I wasn't really there for a while. But my energy on the inside was determined, and my energy on the inside, although there was a huge gaping hole from losing my life partner, it was up to me to fill that space with love, to fill that space with rising again, to fill that space with nowness, to fill that space with abundance, to fill that space with, well, what the hell am I gonna do now? Because I'm alive and I have to keep living. I can't just stay down. So it was important for me to document my year, and looking back, I thought, well, a lot of it was based on this silence, right? And I wanted to bring energy into our February theme because energy is quite important. Now the world has shifted a little bit with the election and everything else that's happening, from diseases and masking and people mad at each other. People have so many different views about everything that's happening. The most important part is to know that your energy precedes you, and what's left behind is your legacy. And while we can't change the energy of others, we can't point at someone and say, wear a mask, why should you do this? that does nobody any good, right? You can't be the warden of people that you don't know or you don't agree with, because that's just creating bad energy in yourself. But what you can do is work on your own energy. So when you do see someone that you don't agree with, you can just kind of come back and go inward and say, well, how can I be better? How can I do better? And maybe shift that energy towards the positive, which is rather difficult to do for many of us human beings, right? So as we enter into February, we talk about energy, we talk about space. So we're all made up of energy. Your energy, I'm energy. My cat, who's sitting behind the computer, she's energy, furry energy, hairy energy. My glasses, my coffee, everything is made up of energy, and we're all kind of moving and vibrating. And the cool part about that is that there's something to be said about using that energy for the greater good, using that energy to focus, using that energy to concentrate, using that energy for discipline. And while we think about energy from like a far back perspective, we have good energy and bad energy. We have bad moods. We have anger sometimes. We have frustration. We have disappointments and setbacks, and we also have positive energy where we get these highs and we're feeling good and we want to shout and we want to dance and we sing with our favorite songs. So there's this shifting of all of these energies, and one of the most important things that I want to give you from today's talk is that the energy inside of you when something leaves, right? When something leaves you, let's say, I'll give you some of the hints in this group. So in my next book, I talk about something called the messenger mindset. I created it when I lost John, and I just looked at everything and said, what does it mean? I mean, I just met the love of my life, and I watched him pass away in the water, and I was beside him, and he was right there, and we almost didn't go snorkeling that day, and we did, and I watched it. So I had this hole in there, but I had to present a way to fill it up. So I want you to just take a moment to yourself and think about, is there anything that has left you in the past month or two that has left a hole? Like, think about what has left, and think about that gaping hole inside of you. And I want you to think about that hole not as a hole. Think of it as a space that can become whole. If you're feeling half and you want to feel whole meaning W-H-O-L-E, not H-O-L-E. Think of this space as something that new energy can bring in, right? That's where we bring abundance back into play, making this a building block of the year to say, how can I be personally and professionally, emotionally, psychologically developing at the same time as going through the shifts in the universe and the shifts in our days? Well, we can start by mindset shifting and thinking about our communication, first and foremost. But our communication doesn't happen if there's not energy preceding it. You can't say something without energy behind it. You can't make a gesture without energy behind it, right? So if we think about feeling any gaps right now, just take a moment to just place your hands over your heart and just know that if there is a place that feels like it wants to be filled with goodness and light, levity, and newness, then it's up to you. You are personally responsible for filling that energy source. And it takes a little bit of work. And that's what we're here for. And And that's why we're here for each other. There are many people in this group having financial troubles. There are many people in this group who have left a job and going through a transition. There are many people in this group who have a family and they just want to be happy on the inside instead of doing everything for everybody else on the outside. There are so many of us that have responsibilities for other things in our lives, but ultimately this group's message and uniformity is for holding each other accountable and connecting more and providing that space, that source with goodness and love. So within that fulfilling of that space of energy and light and goodness and prosperity and happiness, there's a term in spirituality and with energy called transcendence. Transcendence is described as an outer body experience. It's like going beyond your body. Transcendence is sometimes used in the idea of meditation or just mindful breathing techniques. And you can reach that. It's not something that the monks have or the yogis have. Transcendence is something truly powerful where you do go beyond the limitations of your body and you're in that with the mind. And it's really, really cool. So I'm going to give you 3 different ways in which you can be transcendent, going beyond your body and being in this beautiful state of energy. The first step and tip for the day is to be transcendent, going beyond the body, into the mind and the heart and the energy of your soul in relationships and love. And the tips that I would have for that is that how do you go above and beyond in your relationships? Let's say you're having an argument with someone close to you or you don't agree with them and you're just butting heads. Love can be pretty harsh sometimes. The people closest to us are the people that we push the most buttons with. So how do we become more transcendent in our loving relationships? The thing that I would say to you is having patience. How do you go beyond the body and stay in the mind? And going beyond the body would be like storming out, hanging up on someone, slamming the door. That's bodily movements, right? But the energy of patience within loving relationships can be that transcendent moment where you're not your body. And you can have that personal responsibility and that choice, that volition, which is the power of our human beingness to have a choice and to make a decision. To say, could I have been more patient? Could I fill that energy source with patience? And then what's the result of that? What's the result of that filling of energy when there's patience in that source? So think about that. The second tip is in your business relationships, right? Whether you're an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, whether you're working in corporate America, any business that you're in, it's really difficult sometimes to be transcendent, again, going beyond the body, like typing away like the cat meme, angrily at someone or responding to, people can be jerks. Let's just face it. Not everybody has the tools that we're getting in this group. Not everybody has the tools to be personally responsible for their situations and their energy, right? Your energy precedes you before you walk into your room, and what's left behind is your legacy. So not everyone knows that. Not everyone practices that. Not everyone has the mindfulness tips and tactical practices to put into play. And you're getting that here in today's talk. You're getting that in the entire year or the 6 months that you signed up to say, okay, how am I going to be better? So to be transcendent in your business relationships, the idea is to go beyond the ego and to just stop justifying, right? So I work with a lot of professionals in business, and most of the time when we think that someone's wrong, we just need to be right. We want to be right. We want to justify. Oh, I got that project in, or I did that project right. I don't know what you're saying. Constructive criticism isn't taken lightly sometimes, and we're to blame for that because our energy is like, okay, I'm going to be the ego and I'm going to be the right one. Well, you know what? Sometimes people have mismatches of communication. In my next book, again, there's 14 areas of communication. And there's the sender, the encoding, the receiver, the decoding, and all of these little pieces in between. So certainly communication gets baffled and muffled all the time. So to go beyond the ego and to become a non-justifier, just taking a step back in business to say, I'm going to be transcendent. I'm going to go beyond my body right now. I'm going to stay in the essence of good energy. And I'm going to say to myself, well, do I really need to be right? What does it mean to me to be right? What does it give me? What does that power give to me? Will I still be upset if I point and blame? So the idea of being transcendent in business is just try to pause and halt your justifications and to step away from the ego and just give up the need to be right. The third idea of energy is the connection with yourself, right? When you are going through change, when you're going through something that's icky or yucky within a relationship where communication is breaking down, you're creating stories in your mind. You're creating stories in your mind, and they cycle. These stories cycle and cycle and cycle. So how do you get beyond the body, beyond the limitations, and come into this transcendent energy where you have like some sort of out-of-body experience? Well, you change your story. You catch yourself in the moment. This is if you have designed your mind to be kind. This is where the 3 habits of effective communicators come into play. Catch yourself, speak your truth, and fly above. So the transcendent energy here is in yourself and understanding yourself when you're feeling kind of like off energy, when you know your energy is off and you're making up these stories and you're cycling them and you're in it. To be transcendent, going beyond the body, getting into this space, this energy space of saying, I'm going to change my story. I'm just going to stop the story and I'm just going to let it go. I'm just going to let it go. It's that opportunity in Design Your Mind to Be Kind where you fly above yourself and you can look down and say, I want to understand myself better. I want to be a better person. I don't want to be that person that's charged up with that energy because I think I need to be. And ultimately, those 1, 2, and 3 areas, love and relationships, business, and the idea of the connection with yourself can truly make you transcendent and going beyond your own limitations, saying to yourself, well, I can shift my energy in the moment. You know, even though I'm pissed off, do I have to act upon it? Even though I'm upset or stressed, don't I know that I can choose to be stressed or not? I'm not saying not be stressed. I get stressed. I get upset. But because I'm writing so much about all of this stuff and I'm coaching so much, I'm kind of holding myself accountable for the work that I do, and it works. So I don't stay in those energetic states. I don't let myself do that. I take a bubble bath. I take a shower in the middle of the day if I just really just feel like it. You know, you could take a walk and you feel so much better 5 minutes later. Make your favorite tea in the middle of the day. Go have a cup of coffee. Have a glass of wine at 5 o'clock, 1 o'clock. Who cares? There are no rules to life. What it means to be a positive source of energy is ultimately that you are responsible for yourself. And while there are surroundings of energetic people that are saying things, whether on social media, whether to you in person, God, I learned so much from the energy of other people in 2020. Even in business, I had, I saw people, and I saw myself responding to pettiness in such silent ways, which I wrote 2 books about. Lead by Example comes out in spring, and Silent Integrity will come out in the summer. And it really is a beautiful thing to capture your energy in the moment, and from love to business to the connection with yourself. My hope is that this talk today brings you into that limitless, into that place beyond your body where you can actually just be in this spirited energy and think, all right, I can fill that space with something. I don't have to feel half. And if you feel half, that's okay too, because at some point there's another half that's going to come in and fill it. The moon was perfectly half last night, but ultimately it becomes whole again, right? So use again, Mother Nature is always at your head of the class as your teacher. When in doubt, look out your window. Thank you for being a VIP. Thank you for participating in this program. If you like this talk, watch it again. If you felt something and you want to share it, be vocal in our VIP group. I encourage you to send me messages, send me emails. I love receiving them. And I really do wish you a wonderful, energetic month. And there's much more to come, so stay tuned.